Hotel.
Today's flurry is a mere harbinger of what's to come, as we've got legitimate snow and some ice on the way with freezing cold temps. All the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the U.S. and European leaders move forward with economic consequences as Russia escalates its actions against Ukraine.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Fire crews rush to put out a fire at a Joplin Rangeline motel. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes. The Joplin Fire Department is investigating what led to a fire at the Best Western Oasis on Monday. It started about 3:30 yesterday afternoon. Crews from Newton County Ambulance and Reddings Mill Fire were called in to assist the Joplin firefighters. No one was hurt. Deputy Chief Andy Nemo says the fire was contained to one room. Police arrest a man who they say broke into the Pittsburgh High School over the weekend, vandalized the gymnasium, and stole school property. The break-in happened early Saturday morning. Investigators say surveillance footage shows the suspect entering the high school using a fire hose to spray water on the walls and the floor of the gym and commons area, and stealing items from concessions area and a pair of shoes. Later that morning, officers arrested the man who was still wearing the stolen shoes. No official charges have been filed. In a statement, the USD 250 superintendent says the school is cooperating with the investigation and says, "We are thankful that student and staff remain unharmed during this incident and that learning and activities will continue as planned this week at Pittsburgh High School." Well, our warm and windy Monday overnight turned into a cold and sleet-filled Tuesday morning. Michael, what's next?
Is it me, or does that not seem like it was forever ago that we were enjoying sunshine? And yeah, it was a little bit windy, but temps up in the 70s. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Here we are, Tanya. We're still waiting a little break from our cloud cover. I think we'll get some here before the sun sets later on. But once the sun does set, then we begin talking about some serious weather here overnight. As a matter of fact, clouds have actually grown east of the Ozarks. See just a little sliver of blue sky. We are starting to lighten up there as we move out to the west. And yeah, we've had some flurries and not a whole lot of precipitation. I wouldn't even call it legitimate snow in most places compared to what we're going to see here in the next 36 hours. Speaking of the last 36 hours, look at the precipitous drop right there. Went down about 30 degrees in the span of, say, hour and a half, 2 hours overnight, leading us to temperatures that are still in the teens out in the northwest. We've rebounded a whole bunch of 20s throughout southeast Kansas, but when Tanya and I started the morning show, we were close to 60 degrees south of I-44, now down into the low to mid 20s, and really not much of a rebound today. We're pretty stabilized right here. That's going to be an anomaly if one of those comes to fruition down to the south. Let's talk about what we've got cooking overnight, and especially when we get into Wednesday morning, because we've got the winter storm watches that have actually expanded a little bit geographically. We're able to lift our flood watches in southwest Missouri, so we'll call that a winter. As we clear off overnight, just brutally cold, dangerously cold, if you will. And then future track, we begin Tuesday morning, say about 8, 9 a.m. is when we'll see it begin to creep in our far western counties. Now, that's going to remain as snow. This is really going to be the problematic area where we see the freezing rain that's going to last really all from Wednesday morning into the afternoon and evening hours. As a matter of fact, it just kind of keeps regenerating out of the south to the tune where we're going to see anywhere from a quarter to perhaps even half an inch of ice accumulation. As we push farther north, that's where you see the majority of the snow. The temperatures, well, here's the problem. Not only is the Wednesday afternoon and evening commute going to be treacherous, but also too Thursday morning and Thursday evening, because Tanya, look at that 7-day forecast. We just don't have a chance to melt anytime soon.
Those lows are pretty low, that's for sure.
I'll call it what it is. That's about ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Can we have Monday back again?
I'm with you.
Or at least put it on the end of the week so we have some light at the end.
I'm 100% with you.
I always try to look half glass full. Hey, 40 on Sunday.
Hey, sunshine maybe this weekend.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Michael. U.S. women's national soccer team reaches a landmark settlement with the U.S. Soccer Federation to resolve its years-long fight for equal pay. $24 million settlement stems from the equal pay discrimination lawsuit the players filed in 2019 following the team's 4th World Cup victory. It includes back pay and equal pay with the men's team going forward, including World Cup bonuses. The two sides had previously agreed on improved working conditions. The team says the settlement helps repair its relationship with the U.S. Soccer Federation and credits its new president, Cindy Parlow Cone, a former player who took over in 2020. Russia orders its troops into separatist-held parts of Ukraine after recognizing the independence of those two breakaway regions. Now, this could be the first step before a full-scale invasion. The world is responding, including President Biden, who issued limited sanctions for now, with more likely to come. Germany also announced it is halting the certification of a multi-billion-dollar project that was to carry natural gas from Russia to Germany. Experts say skyrocketing gas prices, market uncertainty, and potential cyber attacks are big fallout concerns. Holly Williams and her team are near the front lines in eastern Ukraine, where they witnessed heavy artillery fire this morning.
We travelled to the front line by truck with Ukrainian soldiers until we were ordered into this bunker.
Well, we were told to stop and come underground because apparently a local commander says it's too dangerous right now at the front line.
When we made it to the trenches, we found a quagmire. The Ukrainians say the snows melted early this year. The mud might slow an invasion down, the soldiers told us, but it won't stop it.
Normally it's shelling, heavy shelling, 24 hours by 7.
Private Valery Kashkarov told us he was a businessman before he signed up and a former exchange student in Dallas.
Why then would Vladimir Putin invade?
We don't know. We are on our own land, soldiers of this country protecting our country. I don't know what's in the head of Vladimir Putin. I apologize.
Ukraine's been fighting a war against Russian-backed separatists since 2014. And now there's been a new eruption of violence. The separatists are in the breakaway regions of Ukraine that President Putin recognized yesterday as independent republics, drawing condemnation from the US and its allies. US officials say Moscow is arming the separatists, and Ukraine says they're targeting civilian areas, including the village of Novonyativka, where they seem shell-shocked. We're on the brink of nervous breakdown, said Ekaterina Evseva, and there's nowhere to run. Back in the trenches, Sergeant Fedenyk Lubomir told us Ukraine needs protection from the air and said America should help.
The US has previously ruled out sending combat troops to Ukraine, but has sent this country nearly $3 billion in military assistance in recent years. The question now is whether what we're seeing here is the beginning of another Russian invasion of Ukraine. Holly Williams, CBS News in eastern Ukraine.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, paleontologists in Scotland unearthed the fossil of the largest Jurassic flyer ever found. And later, we're making a loaded barbecue baked potato casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Scientists in Scotland say they found the remains of the world's largest Jurassic pterodactyl. CBS's Tina Kraus has more on the rare discovery.
Fossil hunters couldn't believe their eyes when they spotted a jawbone peeking out from the seashore on Scotland's Isle of Skye.
We had to battle the tides to collect it. We almost lost the fossil.
But American paleontologist Steve Brusotti and his team from University of Edinburgh managed to get their hands on the largest pterosaur ever discovered from the Jurassic period.
It's an exquisite skeleton. The bones are preserved in 3 dimensions. It's 170 million years old, give or take, and it's big.
With a wingspan of 8 feet, it's the real-life version of Hollywood's flying reptiles.
It's a new species. We call it Yarkskianach. That's a Scottish Gaelic name, and that pays homage to where it was found here in Scotland on the Isle of Skye.
The fossil is 70% complete. So intact, scientists built a digital model of its brain, revealing the creature had great eyesight. Researchers say the teenage pterodactyl had an arsenal of sharp teeth, weighed about 20 pounds, and was still growing.
So already, way back in the Jurassic period, these pterosaurs were getting much larger than we used to think.
Scientists call it the discovery of a century that pieces together a huge gap in fossil records. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
The fossil is headed to the National Museum of Scotland, allowing it to be studied for many years to come. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
A few supermarket shortcuts is all you need to turn what's for dinner into that was the best dinner ever. It's so easy, you might even feel guilty.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
All things considered, if we were able to wrap up the month of February right there and call it good, our average high would be 51 degrees. Now, here's the interesting thing. As we push into our last full week of the second month, we're not even going to come close to seeing that 50 again. This is also a little bit deceiving. Our high on Tuesday, 68 degrees, because that's exactly where we were, 68, when we turned the clock from Monday into Tuesday at Joplin Regional Airport. And of course, after we turned the clock, boom, down we went. This is what I wanted to point out as far as our travel concerns go. We're looking great right now. This picture is going to look completely different. This is I-44 outside of Joplin, about mile marker 18, and this is one thing that we'll concentrate on tomorrow. Reason we took this one instead of the Tower Cam at 7th and Rangeline, it's got a glaze of ice on it. That's got a lot to do with that elevation. It was glazed over earlier. Have not had any reports from Department of Transportation or even boots on the ground of the roads being treacherous. Random slick spot every now and then, but that's to be expected with the amount that we had with the cold front. Here we are down in the teens to the northwest. Even everybody below I-44 now dropping easily below the freezing mark. How about anywhere from about a 40 to almost 50 degree difference from where we stood at this point in time on Monday. Cloud cover has maintained. We've been able to take our thunderstorm activity and our rain, push it way off to the east right there. Now overnight, as far as what we picked up for our precipitation accumulation, we did get about 1.5 inches just south of Monette. This is equivocates to about anywhere from 1/4 to about 3/4 of an inch. Able to lift our flood watches and warnings though, so there's one positive. But now we're right back at it. We've got different color codes popping up in the form of winter storm watches. That's indicative of the dark blue right there. And another key factor is after the flood watch was removed, we actually saw the winter storm watches move off through southwest Missouri and to the east. Over here in south central Kansas, all the way up to the north central state line with Nebraska, those are wind chill warnings. They're looking at anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees below zero tonight. We're not going to get that cold, even though it's going to be dangerously cold for us. But this is of interest all the way from central Texas up through the plains to the Canadian border. All of these right here in some form or fashion deal with the massive cold front that's sweeping through the United States, including that red right there. That's an indicator for a blizzard warning. So the cold front pushing now south of the Red River, thunderstorm activity through the Tennessee River Valley, up through portions of Ohio into Pennsylvania. That'll stay as rain for them. And what we're going to see is a whole lot of moisture begin to generate here up just on the other side of the panhandle and work its way from Texas through Oklahoma and right through us. And that's why we're going to have our fair share of ice accumulation by the time we get to tomorrow. I think we're going to see the clouds clear off either later this evening or tonight. Problem with that is we're going to have wind chills that'll easily be in the negatives. Push up to the north right here, probably looking at about, feeling about like 5 below early tomorrow morning. Then as we get started, say about mid-Wednesday morning, we've got the freezing rain down to the south. This will be a little bit more intense, certainly, than the freezing drizzle that we had this morning. We'll have the dividing line work up north of I-44, where it will be mostly snow, but at the same point, we see a little bit of that freezing rain want to make its way on the other side of the interstate. And this is going to last all the way into Thursday morning. So we need to anticipate travel problems for not only Wednesday afternoon, evening, nighttime, but all the way into Thursday morning as well. As far as the ice tracker goes, we're looking at a glaze anywhere from 1/10 of an inch as you build your way from north down to south, get on your dividing line. 1/4 of an inch of ice accretion, folks. That is rather impressive. And as far as the snow goes, you'll see the line come right through there where we're looking at the most. Don't think we'll see more than 2 inches. We'll see some places that probably get close to 2 inches if you work up to the north right there. But then, Tanya, here's the problem. Where does it go? I can't get you consistently above 32 there, really, until we get to Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to a warm-up, and I guess it just won't be this week.
And, you know, it's crazy to think that now that we're, and I factored in today's high because we've hit it. 22 days in, our average high for February, almost 51 degrees.
Well, you get days like yesterday that really
and there we
offset
go. I know, that's how we finish her off.
it. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Corporal William Buchanan in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Arcadia, Kansas, joined the 130th Regiment, 35th Division in 1917. Buchanan fought throughout Europe until 1919. To Corporal William Buchanan, we thank you, our four-state hero. Want to impress your guests? We'll try this easy meal that will make you look like a pro in the kitchen. Howard shows us how to make loaded barbecue baked potato casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
There are some days when we don't mind cooking everything from scratch. And then there are days when we're pressed for time and we need to use a few supermarket shortcuts. And when our shortcut recipes taste as good as our from scratch versions, all the better. So let me show you a loaded main dish that does just that. The first thing we do is place a package of store-bought mashed potatoes in a microwave-safe bowl. Starting with these saves us at least half an hour. Now we add some cheddar and Monterey Jack cheese, half a package of cream cheese, a bit of salt and pepper, and we pop this into the microwave to warm up. Once it's hot, we stir in some sour cream and spoon it into a baking dish. Now, we turn this into a main dish by topping it with some shredded cooked chicken, a drizzle of barbecue sauce, and some crumbled bacon. Right before it goes into the oven, sprinkle the top with some cheddar cheese to make it even more cheesy delicious. When it comes out, it's ready to serve. It's kind of like a Southwestern style upside down chicken shepherd's pie. To get this round 'em up recipe, all you have to do is visit our website and type in loaded barbecue baked potato casserole. I'm Howard of the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a super shortcut way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
That's the perfect recipe for this weather. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
As we push through tonight, it's going to be brutally cold, and as we get ready for tomorrow, say mid-morning Wednesday, we've got snow and, more importantly, the travel concern with the freezing rain that'll draw through. I'm not even going to call it freezing drizzle. We'll actually pick up freezing rain, and it's going to last all the way into Thursday morning. That's why I want everybody to plan appropriately beginning tonight, please.
All right, well, it is Tuesday, and if you love patterns, 2222 might be the most exciting and auspicious day of the decade.
Pretty sure it's not.
Coming up tonight at 5, we introduce you to a baby born today at 2:22 a.m. We celebrate with couples tying the knot, and we hear from an expert who studies palindrome dates. Plus, Joplin third graders at McKinley Elementary get a taste of how telemedicine technology works. And the company working to breathe life back into the Olivia building in Joplin tackles another downtown landmark. We learn what the future holds for the former YMCA building. Join us for those stories and much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
I want to thank you all for joining us here on the KOAM News at noon. Tanya and I will see you again tomorrow morning.
And the rest of the team will see you right back here at 5 o'clock.